Hey, I think I'm online. Just double check. Nice. Okay. I don't know where my chat is, but I'm going to try and bring that up as the last kind of thing here. Okay. I have no idea how to use OBS. I was bad at it. Maybe I can just bring my chat over here. Mm-hmm. Okay. New chat, live chat. That's what I want. Nice. Can I just move it to the other side? No, I'm stuck on this side. All right. Well, hopefully, if anybody shows up, I will see you and I'll say hi. Okay, so what are we doing today? First, we're going to welcome everybody with a nice GIF. Claude Code. Nice. Okay. So this is the internal server that I created the other day. It's a GIF looper running on a modular board. And this modular board was designed in Claude Code. And it's pretty good. It's got some things going on. I have a few different modules that I can bring out onto the board. I can move them around. I can access controls on some of them. So for example, uh, the effects panel right here has a few different looks. They're all toggles. They can be turned on or off. And then the GIF has some options for how it looks. So we have stretch, we have fit. When it's in fit, we can kind of move it around in case we resize the window way down. Stretch does not move up and down. Tile, if you drag in and out, or I guess it's left or right on tile. I think I'm going to have to change that. It changes the amount of tiles that there are. So that's the UI right now. There's definitely lots of issues. And what I'm thinking about now is, okay, I can start debugging this software. I can try to fix lots of little things. Like, for example, this drag handle, the UI for that and the settings button and the resize are all pretty similar, but the tool window is quite large. And I feel like they could all just be like that large, a little bit of consistency. I'm noticing some things like if you want to right click to resize this, it works really good in one direction, but it works a little bit more poorly in the other direction if this is on the edge of the screen. So I may want this to be up or down, but we'll have to test that. So, okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is I could start working on each module, I could start debugging, or I could start having a conversation about the system and like, what is it that we're actually trying to make here? Do I want to make more of these? Do I want to make a bunch of these? And do I want them to be able to talk to each other? So in this software, we have essentially two elements. There is the grid, and then there is the web app that runs on the grid. And in order for the web app to work with another web app, like let's say on this one, I have my acid effect, and it just kind of like creates this color shift across the spectrum. But I want to be able to map that to my own color shift on this wheel and start dialing it. So if that's the case, this module needs to be able to talk to this module. The way that they do that is by both existing on this board and having an agreement on the properties that they can broadcast or receive, that they can send to each other and hear from each other. But since I'm a designer, I don't know what I'm talking about at all. Like, I just literally don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to have a conversation with Claude, and that's going to be the main beginning of this. And then we'll just see how it goes. It's probably going to be super boring, but uh, that's all good. Let's just see what happens. So I've started off by just telling Claude that I want to have a discussion about developing applications. I'm going to tell it what my goals are. How do I want to approach this from the standpoint of a systems architect? I'm going to work with Claude, and we're going to create a system that's very lightweight, powerful, it's fast and reliable, and meets my requirements. The system is going to be used to develop tools and applications that work together within an ecosystem. I want Claude to interrogate me, ask me questions, and help me understand what we're talking about. As well as to define a structure for the file system, the tech stack, the documentation, and the specific roles and tasks that are going to be required to carry this out. Because I don't want Claude to operate as a generalist where it just goes through and sweeps over the code and tries to fix every problem that it encounters. I want to be very conscious about token spend. I want to be very, very careful about security. I want to be very careful about making sure that Claude, if it's trying to fix a problem, that it knows where it needs to go. So, which part of the code, which part of the documentation, it knows how to enter that place, search for it, make a change there that is related only to that task, and that it has the ability to leave without fucking everything up. That's one of the main goals. So, okay. What else do I want it to say? I want to start by creating a document that logs this discussion, like a markdown document, and I want it to summarize track the entire conversation, and then most likely put a summary up top. But this is a great intro into how we want to tackle that topic. But let's start with the macro first, and then uh, what do I want to say here? What I'm trying to say is um, I'm trying to say, let's start just by making that document, and then let's jump into the high level overview of the things that we want to discuss, and then we will take it from there. Okay. One of the things that I really love about Whisper is the bullet listing, and I definitely need to learn how to use it better so that it is even prettier. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Ah, feeling good though. Okay, so we're calling this architecture discussion, and it will update as we go. And what is it saying? So it's going to, let's change this GIF to studying. We're gonna have a couple going at any given time. Simpsons School. Simpsons School. This might be like the perfect thing for my ADHD. It feels great. Let's close that down right now. By the way, this app I made, I'm very happy with it. It's really fun. It's got a lot of cool little fun functionality. Rain, study vibes, chill. Rain, study vibes, chill. Okay. Well, not quite what I thought, but that's all good. Okay. So let's see what Claude is talking about here. Okay. So first of all, we're putting the document into architecture decision. That's okay. But generally speaking, I like to have three documents, uh, and I like those to exist kind of in like their own space per project. Um, so I'm just gonna do some of my prompting here in order to make sure that I keep myself organized while we're doing this. So the first thing I want to do is to create a separate project folder for systems architecture in the AI folder, and we'll keep it there. I also want to ensure that I have an area specific to this project folder uh, that handles three types of information. One is questions that I have that I want to list and make sure they're captured, but I don't necessarily want to dive into them right away. The next one is general ideas that may fall within the scope of this project and they may be totally unrelated to this project. So I'm not sure if that should be two different lists or if it just put it in one. And then the third one is prompts, which is what I'm doing here. I just need to like learn how to separate talking to chat and talking to um, my AI thing. Gosh, my brain, I left my brain on the mountain today. Okay, so uh, let's see. Okay, the third is prompts. Three prompts is the area where I will craft the prompts in TextMate or something like that, just so that I can organize my thoughts a little bit better and make sure I give you all the information that I think is necessary. Now, in order to answer your questions, tier one, what are we building? Okay. You know, it's a really good question you're asking about ecosystem. And I think the issue is that I don't really know yet. And I know that in one of the projects on this file, we have a description of it in Claude.md, which is the SD1 sort of board module. And I guess in one way, I could think of that as top level and have the apps that live inside of it all exist within the ecosystem of the SD1. And I think that's cool. But actually, what I want is something a little bit larger than that, where I want apps that exist on the SD1 be able to exist in other things like other devices. Um, Maybe I make a different type of board for these apps to live on with different types of functionality. And maybe I want to control the SD1 from one of those boards. So in one sense, we're talking about this SD1 is like a digital bento box that allows you to put mini web apps into it and arrange them and have them interact with each other, which is really cool and fun. I basically want to make my dream tool for live streaming. But on the other hand, I can see myself wanting to go in other directions and to code all kinds of different little apps or widgets or with different controls or different purposes. So I guess in some ways, what I'm trying to define with this answer is like, what is a good tech stack for me to work with? But I know I'm not giving you enough information yet to answer that. So I will move on with the next question for now. Who uses this? Just you, a team, external uses? Yeah, for sure. Okay, so on one hand, absolutely nobody's using it right now except me. I am just learning how to do this in front of nobody online. I'm living the dream. And in the future, I want to share these things with friends and family, and then also with people that just find it interesting or useful. I could imagine one day that I sell apps or I put apps behind a paywall in Patreon, or if I think that they're meaningful to be given away or something like that, then I want to give them away. But I would really like it if we're talking about apps that can run on people's devices relatively easily. You know, maybe that's a web app. Maybe it's something else. I need your help with this. I like literally don't know anything about computer shit like that. Okay. I'll just take out that part. I do literally know some things about computer shit like that. Okay. What platforms? Yeah, I don't know about CLI tools. I mean, I think that's really cool. It makes me feel like a hacker. You know, I want to feel like that, but I'm not yet. I'm just like using command line interface right now, uh, more than I have in a billion years. Like, I think I used a command line interface when I ran Ubuntu or like Fedora or something like that, like a zillion years ago. So uh, I think web apps makes a ton of sense. APIs, desktop apps. Actually, I'm super down to run it in command line as well. So yeah, I think these things run like on my phone, through my browser, on my desktop. Like, uh, I don't know what the best thing is, but like to be honest, I really like the idea of standalone widgets and apps and stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool. But I also want them to be able to be shared with people easily. So I'd like your thoughts on that process. I mean, not process, but that, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I always say too many things. Tier two, constraints and preferences. Languages and runtimes. Yeah, I have no idea. You know this type of thing, so I'm not sure about the tech stack. I actually need you to teach me about deployment because I actually don't really understand what it means or like why. My friend was telling me that I should have a server at home that I can use to deploy, but I don't know what the limitations are on that, and I'm not sure like how that will hold up to something like stress testing. And this is something that is part of this systems discussion in a really big way because I would like it if it didn't crash if 30 people used it. And I think I would like it if a lot more than 30 people used something that I developed. But I actually don't know if I'm going to develop anything that anybody will like. So what matters to me is that we are approaching it from the perspective that it will be kind of scalable. That it will be not kind of scalable. you tell it kind of scalable. I don't know if it's smart enough to actually hear you or if it's gonna do something crazy, you know? So, oh, I'm actually I don't think anybody can see this, but I'm editing the prompt in this other application window called TextMate. So, if you can't see that, that's what I'm doing right now. Just having that conversation and I'm about to put this prompt in. Okay. So then yeah, I think we're starting from zero. I want to start from zero on this project in terms of code because I want everything that I'm doing to be extremely tight, lightweight, super fast, reliable, like I said, secure, scalable. So there is a project file in the AI folder called SD1, and it contains existing code, but I don't want to work off that. I want to build I want to discuss the system with you first about what makes sense, what it can offer, all of those things. And then we're going to create a system that allows me to make these tools, um, these apps within apps, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I've got this out. It's quite a long answer and prompt. So I'm just going to throw this down and give it to it. And this all of this should go into the architecture discussion, MD, but it may refactor that after this monster answer. Back to it. The biggest thing with this software in general is just when you have something that is smart, that feels useful and relevant, like Claude, it's worth reading its answers. Whereas something like ChatGPT, it's never worth reading its answers. Cyberpunk anime, mm, roller skates, carnival, Solana Glazer. Oh my god, I love you, girl. Just literally the best. Trippy. Okay. Oh yeah, I want to proceed. Make that directory, please. You don't need to ask. You want to make a directory? Don't you realize we've all surrendered like easily, like quite a while ago? What is this search? What is this search? Twisted. I wonder if it's gonna just bring up the same gifts if I say the same thing. Ace Ventura. No, no, no. We can't be doing that. We can't be doing any of that. Fail. Fluid dynamics. Physics simulation. Initial D. So eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these gifts on the board into buttons, and the buttons will be part of the stream deck or like whatever we're going to call this. And the idea is to give it a look, but it triggers an action. And maybe we'll make some of them macro buttons so that they trigger multiple things. Not really sure exactly how I want to do it yet. I want the board to be able to bring in the chat too. It would be really cool if the board just had like the Claude interface in it, and it had the looper in it, and it had a little terminal in it, and it could hook up to my home security cams, and it could play sounds at people. Or okay, let's see what's going on. Let's see what it says. Okay, systems architecture. Okay, so we got a new folder, and in that folder we have architecture discussion, questions, ideas, prompts, main discussion log, a parking lot for questions, ideas, project or wild. Okay, it's not like, okay, let's just start creating a few bit of corrections to this. And actually what I'll do is I'm going to add a media source here, and we'll call it TextMate, and we'll allow it to capture TextMate. Yep. Okay, so when TextMate comes up, damn, why are you so big? No. Okay. I wonder if that's big enough. Maybe not, but that's okay. That's how we're going to do it right now. So I'm crafting the next part of the prompt and my reply. So I'm just going to like read it through and then think about just sort of things that I want to see. The first thing I noticed is that we've tagged ideas either project or wild. It's not really like about whether or not they're wild uh, or not. It's about whether or not they pertain to this project. So if they don't pertain to this project, then I think that the idea should be in a folder on the level above, like ideas that are other than this project. The question that I asked was about how we should structure it, and it's fine if you want to give it a different tag, but I think that that holds that idea still within this project, and I'm not sure if that makes any sense because I don't need you to scan the ideas that are wild for the context of this project. I need you to focus on what's in this project. It's just that I don't have that ability. So maybe we set this up differently. Like maybe I need a rule to just like leave and log ideas that aren't in this project. But I was just trying to explore ideas that would reduce context switching and allow me to log an idea. So maybe it gets tagged as other and then later it gets moved out of that folder or something like that, like at the end of the session. I don't know the right solution. I want you to think about it, but this one needs to be improved. Okay. Okay, so it's happy with the last project. Okay, so what does portability actually mean to you? SD1 modules are svelte components. My friend from Ukraine says svelte. I don't know if that's what it is or not. Okay. They can only live inside a Svelte kit app. If you want an app to run on the SD1 board and as a standalone widget someone opens in their browser and on some future different board, that's a fundamentally different contract than a Svelte component. Yeah, I don't give a shit if it's a Svelte component or not a Svelte component. This is completely uninteresting to me. Um, Okay, so it wants to say Svelte native modules, fast to build, tightly integrated, but locked to the Svelte host apps. Portability means other Svelte apps. Okay, well, I guess the first question is what I need to understand is what does portability mean to you? Because I don't even think I ever said portability. And it sounds like that you're generalizing my discussion into that term. So I don't know what that term means. I need you to explain it. Let's read the other things. Web components, standard browser API, build once, embed anywhere. Some trade offs in DX and styling. Okay. I don't know what DX means. So you need to just treat me like I'm not that versed in these things. So I don't mind the occasional acronym or initialism, but when possible, like it would be helpful if you could, try to be as plain as possible. Okay, I hate giving LLMs that type of advice. So it sets an expectation that they cannot fulfill. So what I just need to say is, I don't know what DX means. What is it? It might mean DirectX, but I have no idea. Um, okay, give these some numbers. Okay. iframe isolated micro apps. Each app has its own tiny web page. Maximum isolation. Complex. Okay. I think that the iframe one sounds terrible. And also, I'm not sure how that works with like a desktop app or an iPhone app. Maybe something to consider is like, am I asking for too much? Is it impossible or not practical to have something that lives in multiple areas? It seems normal to me because I have something like Figma, for example, which runs on Windows, it runs natively on Mac OS, it runs through a browser. I can access it on my phone, my iPad, my desktop. Same with much more lightweight apps that are just like messaging apps or the passwords app or something like that. So, yeah, I don't know the answer for you, but I feel like the three options that you presented don't even cover the basics of what I was asking for. Well, let's see how that little conversation goes. I need to map a button on this thing that just turns off my screen so I can drink this kombucha, right? Yeah, no worries. I'm still here. Mm. Oh my God, that's good kombucha. Mm. Go away. I'm I'm doing something cool. I promise. Tokyo Drift, Universe Simulator, The Social Network, Zuckerberg. God, he's such a dork. We need to get rid of these losers. Buck Ice. How about that? Mm. Okay, so let's talk about the tech stack. So where did it start? Wow, this is quite a reply. So I'm gonna be like that lady, and I'm gonna put on my reading glasses. Put on those reading glasses. Time to think hard. Big time focus. Focus. Dream. Concentrate. Okay. Portability. That's my word, not yours. What I meant by it, the ability for something you build to work in more than one place. Okay, so that's what portability means. Well, that's a good thing for me to learn. I'm gonna turn my camera on in 1 second. I just have to enjoy myself for a second, everybody. Please hold. It's gonna be tough for me to be a YouTuber and also keep up all my bad habits. And he's back. Let's read this through. The ability for something you build to work in more than one place. Framing the idea, how do widgets plug into different host apps? And what you're actually asking is bigger and simpler, like how do I build something that people can use on their phone, their laptop, their browser, whatever? Yes, that is just how modern apps work. That's nice. Good. Okay, so we cleared something up. DX, developer experience, how pleasant or painful it is for the person writing the code. That's great. Okay, please stop. I mean, this is the thing. I've told ChatGPT to stop doing things over and over again, like over and over and over again. Like don't try to validate my feelings. Don't try to like emulate emotions. Like don't add a bunch of filler. And it just does not stop. It is relentless. It does not follow instructions. And I'm talking about on like the 250 USD a month plan. Like it is so bad. So something about Claude though, like I kind of believe that that's possible, especially if I'm careful about like my Claude usage and refreshing the context, and then also creating these structures. Need more cat massages. Oh yeah, sorry. Stay focused. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's go. So now let me actually address what you're asking, because the three options I gave you were about the wrong layer of the problem. Think of it as a web app at its core. The desktop app is just a thin wrapper that opens the web app in its own window instead of a browser tab. This is a web app adapted for touch. One code base, one technology, multiple shells that present it. I mean, that sounds great. I don't want to fuck with a lot of stuff. Actually, this is another thing I had to remember, is that I can react. At least the way I work in time is like if I'm going through a long thing like this, I like to provide feedback as I read it. I find it faster. I can always go back and edit that feedback after I do it, but this this just helps me. This helps me uh, get my ideas out in a more natural way. So let's try that again. Okay, so we looked at how Figma actually works, about the shells. Okay, so I'm just gonna give it the same title in my prompt for reference, and then I'll talk there. Okay, so um, let me provide my feedback based on the things that you said in chunks. Okay, Yeah, so basically, this idea of the shells that presented makes a ton of sense to me. I really like it. And I also really like the idea of uh, one code base, one technology. I want to keep this as deadly simple, fast as possible. We're trying to make something that is like super utility based and um, able to be used on low information networks, low data flow networks, low bandwidth networks, in if it needs to be. Not all the functionality, but on some functional layers, like basic information exchange. I want it to be able to still operate and be useful if, let's say, I wanted to develop like a communications app for emergencies or a decentralized peer-to-peer streaming app or something like that. And I want one of the modules to be the ability to stream or receive streams or control the streams. I think I'm letting the cat out of the bag here. Okay, so you build a web app, users visit the URL. On their phone, they tap add to home screen, and it looks and behaves like an app. You can do that? Yeah. Can you actually do that? I don't think. Okay, let's just see what's going on here. I gotta ask. I'm like reflexively wanting to go to Google and just being like, oh, I gotta Google this, and I do not. I can literally talk to Claude right here. Okay, so absolutely don't need to format this. Lights on. Just feeling, just feeling big brain. Stay focused. Focus. Focus. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. Oh my god, it's the same guy. Okay, this is not helping me focus. I've got to turn it off. I need to like actually focus. Sorry. Frantic baby. You're not as helpful as I thought you'd be. I'm not even using this right now. So I might as well. Am I going to scroll TextMate out of the thing? Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, too bad. Maybe I can make TextMate full screen a version of that. Let's see. Can I just duplicate this? Uh, can you just copy? I can copy it and then paste it. Yes, 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 yes. We're gonna call it. Yeah, I know, but let me rename it. Smate. Oh, okay. No, I don't want both of them to be named. What? No. Oh, you're so dumb. Oh my god. Okay. What? No. What is local server? What are you doing? Oh yeah, no, I want that. I am pretty bad at this. Mm, I'm just adding TextMate larger so it's easier to see. No. Yeah. Okay. So no. This is like top-notch production. What is happening in OBS right now? No. One day I'll get better. Promise. Oh, the screen is massive. I need to lock all of these. I'm doing it like an amateur. Okay. So this one. Okay. So bad at this. Parker, I need your help, dude. Oh my god, I need your help. Okay. I'll get better at OBS. I truly will. Okay. So let's get back to this. Okay, so we have the progressive web app, and my first question was, can you actually add add to home screen? Like what do you mean on their phone they tap add to home screen and it looks and behaves like an app? I've never seen that on my phone. Maybe I don't know how to use it, but I don't think that would happen on iOS. Or like, are you talking about Android, iOS? Is this through an app store? I'm not really sure. Okay, so then what they're saying is no app store, no download, no install wizard, just URL. Wait, so yeah. Okay, so this is how you share something with friends easily. Here's a link. It's free to distribute, no Apple, Google approval. Okay, no deep access to hardware. Bluetooth is limited, file system access is limited, and it doesn't feel quite as native as a real app. Okay, so um, hmm, Well, what I want to say, I'm just going to talk to it like the way I'm going to talk. I hope that works. I'll either get better at communicating or be terrible at developing apps, which is super possible. I mean, I'm already there, but I could make it worse. Okay, so for the native wrapper, I think one of the main things for me is that the feel is very important. I want the interface to feel light and fast and snappy. I want the control uh, using it to feel basically tactile as possible, and as it should feel like sliding a smooth, good switch or moving a nice fader, or like everything should feel very responsive and fast in terms of like moving from page to page, opening, closing, rotations, like any of that stuff. I want it to be able to handle it. And so that's really going to come down to our tech stack, how we uh, like render the things, what we decide to render. And I want to make these choices, but I'll give you the type of thing that I expect this to do, and we'll work from there. Okay. So it's saying I don't have to pick tier two now. Okay. So the core of my system is a web app, full stop. I believe that to be correct. Everything else, desktop window, phone icon, future app store listing, is just a shell around that web app. So the tech stack question is really, what is the best way to build a web app that is lightweight, fast, modular, and structured so Claude can work on it surgically? It's a much more focused question. Okay, so we have a jargon log. That's really nice. And it's just going to update terms as we go. Very nice, Claude. It's very thoughtful things that exist in this AI without all this like psychotic fluff from ChatGTP. Uh, this crazy behavior. This just feels like it moves through the process in a way that is focused and helps you stay on track. And it's trying to do a good job, but it's not putting that above the outcome. Okay, so what it's saying is the question is really, what is the best way to build a web app that is lightweight? And what I asked was, what is the system architecture? Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So maybe instead of going in the way that I think I would normally go, which is to it's to assume that we're missing each other on this because I don't quite understand what Claude thinks. And so I have an idea in my head right now that I need to understand all of the little components of everything and how they work together. But I don't actually know what that means other than I think about almost physical objects. Like I know so little about computer code that when I think about this, I start thinking about things like Lego or physical objects. Like, I have this and these knobs turn, and when they turn, they send information into a board. And there's a board here that doesn't just send that information to the computer, it routes data intelligently. So if I'm twisting this one and pressing this one, then it understands how to send that information in a way that is accurately representing what's happening. And that's a even coding that controller, I think, would take a little bit for me right now. I mean, maybe Claude would do it in 5 seconds. But I want to create a smart tech stack that I can use to build tools. And maybe another way to talk about that rather than like thinking about from this obviously oversimplified and incorrect view of what systems architecture even means. I need to instead step back and say, Claude knows how to do a lot of stuff. So it's asking me, or it's telling me that the best way to build a web app, what's the best way to build a web app that's lightweight, fast, modular, and structured so Claude can work on it surgically? That's almost the right question. I think your question, what's the best way to build a web app that's lightweight, fast, modular, and structured so Claude can work on it surgically, is a great question. But I want to make sure that we are covering all of the things that nope, nope, I want to make sure that we are mm, discussing, evaluating, and putting together a tech stack that uh, can be used. mm, tech stack that can be used to build multiple web apps that are lightweight, fast, modular, and structured so that I can continually add to this collection of products that I want to either sit on the SD1 or um, on a different type of board that we create later. I think that's the right question. So I'm going to put this in and then see what it says. It's going to be an interesting one. So, okay, so that's great that it did that. And uh, did I already say here's my feedback in chunks? No. I said, okay, okay, great. So putting this in. And let's see. So the last one took it 1 minute and 2 seconds to answer me. And I probably took like 10 minutes there. I don't really know how long it was, but it felt long. And this resets at 9:59, and I am not nowhere near my usage on this. It's crazy. This is just such an insanely good tool. I can't even believe it. Wow. Okay, so I think it's already kind of wrong, but we'll start with the same process for logging all of our notes into uh, this doc. I wonder if for the stream, if it would be better if I did it in reverse order. Probably. Hmm. Okay, I'll just start a new one and we'll do it top down from there, and I'll ask the LLM to fix that later. Um, we're gonna call this one. Okay, so let's see what it's saying. Okay, let me respond to you chunks and we'll push it forward. Okay, low bandwidth and resilience. Yeah. So yeah, it needs to work offline first or local first, where the core functionality runs on the device and the network is used when available. I think that's pretty cool. Yep. Emergency comms, peer to peer streaming, stream control. There are use cases that define how the system handles data, parking this as a hard constraint. Yep. Uh, mm, oh man, is this just going to turn into like unlimited dicks from dudes? Ugh. It's like there's going to be a goddamn earthquake, and then you're going to start looking for help, and it's just going to be like dicks. Well, we're just going to have to build in some kind of like anti dick thing. Sorry, libertarians. It's tough times. Okay. So, couple of thoughts here that we need to talk about, because this could be an entire project, and I also want to like build stuff too that's like fun, and I don't know if I want to do that. Um, mm, 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 mm. Tough call. Don't know if I need it for everything. So let's just talk about low bandwidth resilience. So, um, okay, here are my thoughts and concerns on this. So instantly, I'm not going to say that it was not instant to the LLM, but it was not instant. Realized that if I create an unregulated streaming service, it's just going to be dicks everywhere, and or people doing inappropriate things. So I need to really think that through and be careful about it. But I am interested in it being able to uh, talk to other devices. This is too much like Alexi's idea, man. Ah, it's just too much like his idea. This discussion is good, but it's like, I don't know. Let's keep going with this, but I'm not sure. I'm going to deprioritize low bandwidth for now, and also for the whole idea of like it being like a mesh network or some kind of like thing like peer to peer streaming right now. Um, I'm not sure if mm, it's opening a can of worms that I am not sure if it's delivering enough value to. What do you do with a can of worms? You close it. Let's just say and value uh, right away. Just, like I really need to remember that I'm like to begin with. I want to make a stream deck, right? Like or not stream deck. I want to make like a cool macro pad, like a thing that I can do stuff with. You know, the cool the cool thing. This thing where you can just pizza party. You know, we don't need that in an earthquake. Well, mm, earthquake instructions. How to survive earthquake. This is not good. What? Oh, that's bad. Hold on. We need more. We just needed to like give us a little bit more information. Hmm. Earthquake tips. Yeah, makes sense. Earthquake advice. 911. Oh yeah, there's the boys. There's the boys coming in hot. Okay, it's enough of that. I like. I gotta stop myself, guys. I gotta focus. Serenity. No, we can't be that. It's got to be better. Waves. Ocean. Okay, I can live with this. It's like harmonious or something. All right. Text mate, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Okay. So let's get back to this. Okay, PWAI and iOS. No fucking way. You've got to be kidding me. PWA on iOS and it does work. Hold on. You've no. Wait, just as like as an app? Shut your mouth. I'm so old. That's real. Wait, so I can go to my own webpage and I can say, what do you mean? Add to homepage. Open as web app. What? That's awesome. Wow. And it, oh, um, wow. Apple support this features, but they don't advertise it. There's no prompt. You have to know the gesture. Limitations: push notifications only became available on iOS in 2023, and background processing is more restricted than on Android. But for a fast interactive tool that's mostly used while you're looking at it, PWA on iOS works fine. That's pretty awesome. I like that's pretty awesome. Okay. Feel and tactile quality. This is a tech stack constraint. Yes. You're describing okay. No jank. Yeah, 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 exactly. Um that's what I'm talking about, dude. That's what I mean. Exactly. Okay. You know how many milliseconds that is? Interesting. Uh don't want to no, that's what I've been just kidding, Claude. You're great. That is correct. You want to build a workshop. Shared infrastructure. Let's see, sit down and say, I want to make a stream controller or I want to make an emergency comms tool. The foundation already there, the faders and knobs, the grid, the design language, the deployment pipeline. Each project is its own thing, but they all come from the same workshop and share the same DNA. Hell yeah, that's, oh, yes, everything you're saying about a system for building many apps is exactly right. And what I'm trying to do is create a workflow, a methodology, this system that you and I engage in together that is uh, takes care of the discussion around like this tech stack, how it's going to be developed, deployed, all the things you said, and we think about it really hard once, and then we just do that thing from then on. And after that, what we're focusing on is how to make the app, not all the extra stuff. It's how to make the app, debug it quickly, and get it online and shared in a way that is actually meaningful, that allows it to scale. Like, what if 30 people watch this live stream one day and they all decide to try it at once? I want it to work. I want it to work if 1,000 people are trying to use it. So uh, we're not there yet, but I want to not have to go back and rewrite this whole thing because we haven't considered it at this point. Hmm. Yeah. Workshop, shared components, design system, module contract, build tooling, products, individual apps composed from workshop pieces. SD1 is product number one. Hell yeah. Rules: how Claude enters the workshop, picks a tool, does a job, and leaves without knocking anything over. Yes. With regard to the third thing we're designing, the rules, I'm also very interested in talking about not just how Claude enters the workshop and picks up a tool, but like what type of specialized roles should be creating for all the different aspects of this process. You know, I don't know if it makes sense for you to just go in on your own, or if we should be breaking tasks out into uh, a very smart and proven software development methodology. You know, maybe we have something like uh, a security analyzer that puts out a report, and maybe that report gets read with a clear context by an agent with a different set of instructions. That's kind of the no, not that's kind of um, okay. I want to say I also want to make sure that everything is documented and that it's there's roles or instructions around looking for process optimization, and process is versioned. I also want to make sure that, what am I trying to say? Versioned. The instructions for how to do everything. Um, no, you've already said that. Okay, so we've already talked about those things. I might have gone a little bit too far there, but that's okay. Um, how separate are these products? Yeah, so that's a great question. Each product is its own standalone app with its own URL. The SD1 lives at one address. A comms tool lives in another. They share components under the hood. Users don't know or care. B, there's one hub app. And products or modules, pages within it. You open the hub. You switch between the views. Yeah, I think that is the vibe. I think it's both. Um, it's both. It's definitely both. I want people to be able to run the ones that I want standalone. And then I also want, yeah, the ability for some of them to play together or for one to live inside another one. Okay, cool. Nice big answer here. All right. Yeah. And I'll just remind myself that we are going to keep these on top for right now. Okay, we're cruising. Oh, it's a sad story. Uh, wait, how come it's only bringing up one? Cruising. Mm-hmm. What up, bear? Okay, so grab text me and let's see what's next. Okay, I'll bring it in. 10 lines. It'd probably be better if I went and took this prompt and ran it through a little bit of cleanup in terms of the language, but I don't know. I don't know how much it captures or how much I'm mistaking what I think I'm saying for what I'm actually saying, which I think could be a lot. Hmm. Okay, so cool. Okay. Mm. Do we not need real time sync between users? What am I trying to do? Well, I want to be able to host my YouTube chat on this. So that's one. Well, I think one of the first issues is that I want to be able to have a window that has my YouTube chat uh, streaming in this. And if I want to like bring up a cool little keyboard module or something like that, I want to be able to type on my keyboard and see the keys light up on the keyboard graphic module, but then have that go to my YouTube chat. So I can type into YouTube chat, or maybe I have a button on the SD one and I hit it and it's got a GIF and that GIF goes into chat, or it generates a GIF and that goes into chat. So I'm not sure what you mean by real time sync between users, but like I'm gonna need to be logged into my YouTube account. I mean, at least somewhere. I'm streaming with OBS right now, and I don't want to be doing this so that they get the messages later. Like I want to be chatting with them, live chat, live stream, Stream Deck One. I gotta give it a different name. Maybe it's Streamboard, Golden. You're a funny little wolf. Okay, and actually, we got to change the name because Stream Deck already exists. It's a product. I don't know. I don't think we can use it. That was silly. So let's change it from Stream Deck One to something else. This is like a what is it? What the fuck am I making? It's probably my favorite GIF. We'll worry about the Stream Deck name later, but and we'll just worry about the titles later. So never mind. But when I do think of titles again, we're gonna use Animal Robot for the main workshop. And the architecture or like underlying like whatever we're talking about that all the products run on? Okay. 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 Whoops. Okay, let's see. Mm-hmm. This is big brain shit, guys. This is how you like think about it really hard for a really long time, and it's gonna be really, really boring in the beginning. But this is measuring like 500 times to cut once. And the only reason I'm doing this is because my friend Alexi told me to do it. And he's been explaining this to me for months. And it takes me a long time to get things. I am a dumbass, dude, but now it's clicking and I'm starting to make some stuff. I'm starting to make some cool stuff. And then I'm not starting to make some cool stuff. I said that totally wrong. I'm not starting to make some cool stuff. I'm starting to understand some cool stuff that's going to allow me to make some cool stuff. And this is the beginning of it. This is some big brain shit. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's keeping. Oh, it is. Okay. Okay. Big brain. 5 head. Okay. So, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. 7 open topics. The two that unlock the most are tech stack. Yes. Deployment. But yeah, I just don't know what it means. Um, okay. So first I'm going to just tell it this and, and then we'll go. Ew. Stop. We don't need to see this. It's gross. Let's look at Zootopia. What? Zootopia. Okay. That's my favorite gift tonight. For sure. Just live there forever, dude. Oh my god. Okay. Mm. I want to work on a few different things at a time, but I really appreciate just taking some time to think. Okay. So, hmm. Um okay, YouTube chat integration means you need a server. Yeah. Yeah. You need to read and send YouTube live chat messages. Authenticate with Google's API using Auth 2. Okay. Prove this person gave you permission to act on their behalf. It's the secret. Hmm. Okay. So, okay. Small backend handles authentication. Hmm. I don't know what an endpoint is. Okay, so let's start up here. If anybody has a better way of showing me how to divide prompts in TextMate, please tell me. Or like a cool coder way of formatting these types of documents, I'd love to hear it. That'd be wonderful. Seinfeld. Hmm. Okay, so what was I gonna say? So the first one is, hmm, I don't know what endpoints are or what that has to do with the size of a back end. Yeah, I don't know what will require secret credentials. Like I'm running OBS right now on my computer, and I believe I can bring up the YouTube chat from that. I'm also logged into YouTube and I'm reading the live chat on a web stream. I guess if I was right, okay, so if I want that live stream on this app, I have to be able to sign in through that app in order to get that chat screen in. That's making sense to me. Um, yeah, well, I guess I want to be able to do that. Okay, and then I'm also just going to tell it, other than the things that I brought up before, um, before we move on to going into the tech stack, I want to discuss other potential use cases that may make sense for this kind of app so that we cover other bases. That's nice. Okay, while it's doing that, why don't I talk about what some of those other bases are? So, hmm, okay, use cases. Yeah. Right thing to do before tech stack. The more scenarios we surface now, the more confident the tech choices will be. Let's prime the pump with categories and you tell me what resonates or what I'm missing. Also, we haven't really dived into the system architecture either. So the other thing is that I don't think we've dived into the system architecture very much, like the roles of all of the agents and their job titles and descriptions, and how the product is developed in uh, by handing pieces off and to each agent so that they make very small, very deliberate, uh, purposeful changes that are then tracked, evaluated, um, checked, like QA'd, all of that stuff. I want to have that conversation as well. I know it's egregious. Okay, so then, yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. Seinfeld. I wonder if it'll do the same thing. Ah, this is different. It's nice. Um, okay, so let's see what else it's saying. In terms, you log into YouTube, your browser. Okay, go on. Text. Okay, endpoints. They are doors of a building. The back end is a small building. Each door has a label on it that says what it does. One door says, sign me into YouTube. Another door says, send this message to chat. When I said a handful of endpoints, I mean the building only has a few doors. It's a small building. More doors equals bigger and bigger building. More code to write and maintain. Got it. Um, okay. Let's see. Secret credentials. When you log into YouTube in your browser remembers who you are. But when your app wants to talk to YouTube on your behalf, YouTube just doesn't trust it. Yeah. Okay. Yep. 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 Client secret, a password that identifies your app to Google. This is like the app's ID card. If someone steals it, they can pretend to be your app. Okay. Said yes, this app can use my YouTube. Okay. A user token. Client secret is a dangerous one. It can't live in browser code. Okay. 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 Great. Okay, cool. Okay. Uh Good. So let me hold on. You're right that you're already logged into YouTube and can see the chat. The app would basically automate what you're doing manually, but it needs that. Okay. The app would basically automate what you're doing manually. Hmm. I'm not sure. Are we talking about the app? It's okay. So, okay. We need to we need to make sure that we're not drifting here. So, I don't know how we're doing in this conversation. Maybe we need to clear and refresh. Um, so the sentence above, I have some questions about it. You say the app would basically automate what you're already doing manually. And I think what you mean is actually, I don't know what you mean by that. Do you mean by that the app would automate logging in, or it would automate chatting? Like, what is the app automating in this sense? Uh, and then the other thing I want you to recognize is that we're not talking about an app. We are talking about a workshop, which is a series of tools and processes and roles that are going to be used to build apps, plural. And, but I realize that the example that we're talking about is a YouTube chat interface that can be hosted on something like the SD1. And both of those are an app, and together they're apps. I just want to make sure that we're clear on the context. Gosh, I sound like a pedantic asshole to this thing, but I can't help myself. I I can't help being a pedantic asshole. Okay, let's see else what it says. Um, Let me prime the pump with candidates. Tell me what resonates or what I'm missing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll just say what it is and I'll say, yep. OBS scene switching, source toggling for sure. Multi-camera, multi-scene layouts. Like I really need that. I need a like hide me type of thing. Um, yep. Totally want stream alerts. The ability to create like on-screen effects or effects within the app. Yeah, all the stream control stuff. I love it. Okay, everything you said for audio and music, but also things like samplers, synthesizers, uh, MIDI control in, MIDI control out, uh, things like MIDI link over Wi-Fi, if that's possible. I don't want to like blow the scope, but that would be really cool. Like I'd love to be in the same house with somebody who has this on their computer and we could like link up a module and interact with each other. Like that's pretty sick. Um, and maybe I do want to be able to use the phone and send video back and forth. I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty awesome actually. So maybe this is a thing. Oh my God. But it just doesn't have to be peer to peer mesh, you know? It's crazy. I hope you captured that whisper flow. Whisper. Did you not capture that? You son of a bitch. Where are you? No. Okay, well, I gotta say that again. Probably less of it. Um, okay, I like everything you said about audio and music, all of those things for sure. Plus, synthesizer, sampler, like granular synth, uh, maybe the ability to like host a VST or like an effects pedal or something. I definitely want all of that cool stuff in there. And to be honest, I think we need to have some kind of like MIDI send, MIDI receive, the ability to probably have MIDI link over Wi Fi. And when I start thinking about that, it makes me realize that I want to be able to have a module on my board that connects and interacts with a module on a friend's board, you know? Um, and maybe it's a little chat window. Maybe it's a little button when I press it lights up on their board. You know, maybe I can send a little picture. And now that I think about it, maybe I want to be able to just open up a little video screen between us. Doesn't have to be super high res, but it's kind of cool. So I don't know if I'm blowing out the scope of this entire thing, but I think it's interesting. I don't know. I want to be really, really smart and tight and lean about this so we can think of really clever and intelligent ways to keep this cheap and fast and affordable. So, you know, let's be flexible and clever. Okay. As for visual and creative, I like all those things. I also want those layers and the other layers to be able to have things like controls that you can get that are sort of universal that you can enable on these different windows. So, you know, by default, you may want opacity on any of these windows, but ultimately, I want you to be able to have opacity and you can turn that control on for your window for your GIF looper, for your sampler, and you just set the alpha channel. Um, and I think it would be really neat to have different blend modes for the windows as well, so we can make art with this thing, or with some of the decks as one of them. But it's it's about having a common set of like tools, interactions, controls across these apps that makes it accessible and interesting, and then also good looking. Also with visual and creative, I want to be able to just do things like, have a thing that makes like neon signs, and like have an app that like has a really cool like sound equalizer. I want to have like a lot of like visualization stuff where it's like taking some kind of data input and has a really attractive, beautiful display or something like that. And that's going to extend into utility and productivity. So, it's not just like the ability to have a clock, but it's the ability to have that clock data modulating something in an interesting and compelling way. So again, I'm like really thinking a lot about like these bento boxes, but the apps are also these little modules that can um, connect with each other and uh, perform tasks, like they kind of can relate to each other. Like I want to be able to add a knob to the board, and I want that knob to be able to control the Philips Hue light in my house, or the brightness setting on another window, or turn down the red in the alpha channel on another one of the ones in SD1. So that's just some more use cases for these. I'm not sure if that kind of control needs to exist across all of the apps. I don't know. I don't know how possible that is. Like, can I install a knob on my Mac desktop that just controls the temperature of the light in my house? Um, but then also have that knob in SD1 or something like that. That would be totally the dream. That's what I want for sure. If we can do it and it's realistic and makeable and fits with the other requirements. Okay, and then what else do we want to say? Communication and social. YouTube chat discussed. Twitch chat, maybe, sure. Discord integration, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess like communication and social, like what I want to do is like if we can leverage APIs, that's great. I really like the way Claude Code uh, allows you to use command line tools very intuitively. And I love the idea of making a series of like pretty lightweight, super fast kind of like um, terminal windows where it's like, oh, this could be like my YouTube chat, or this could be my WhatsApp chat, or whatever it is. I don't know how possible it is to create front ends for those apps, or if that's like I'm going too far, but it's something that I'm interested in. Again, with all the provisos that I've made before. And then, yeah, listen, like the list of things that I might share with others is all of these things. It's not those three things. I'm talking about giving people the ability to uh, run series of really cool, super lightweight, really fun apps that have a lot of personality, that also work with each other in a compelling and interesting way that promotes creativity, expression, and utility. So, I could see this working just as like uh, a panel, a control panel for somebody's like home, or it could work as a stream deck, or it could work as something that you use at a party to like communicate or send messages, or it could be something that you and your friends like share, to make a soundboard or do gaming with. It's it's almost like a breadboard in some ways, like, but there's different breadboards and there's different modules for those breadboards, and not all the modules need a breadboard to run. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, we're probably going bonkers on this, but let's see how it handles these answers. And then finally I'll just ask, and let me know how you're doing on your context window, if you need a refresh after updating everything. But I'm sure you know if you're able to hold on to everything so far. You're doing great. Stanza. Okay. When you chat on YouTube in your browser handles the login behind the scenes. It already has your cookies, your session, your proof of identity. You just hit type and send. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I see. Keyboard module in your app will send a message to the YouTube chat. It has to do the same thing your browser does silently. Right. Yeah. Um, it's automating the plumbing that your browser handles. Yeah. Okay. I just need. Okay. Um, okay. So we need to just clarify. Oh, okay. So just whoops. For clarity, when you said I want you to know that what I meant was I was describing an example of an app that just looks like a cool little mini keyboard. It's a graphic. And when I type on my keyboard, it emulates those keystrokes. But then another thing that it does is um, it could relay keyboard information to any other uh, like module or app that I have. So if I have one that is on the like doing the YouTube chat thing, I want to be able to have that text input receive messages from the little keyboard app that is also running, as an example. Okay. Yeah. So everything else makes sense. Okay. Animal Robot is the workshop. Products come out of the workshop. I won't collapse those again. Good. Use case someone goes straight into the agent roles. Okay. So Okay, signal routing is the killer feature. The knob controls anything pattern. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. I think we finally looped back to the conversation about the signal routing being the killer feature. And that's really the intention for me of like this conversation in a big way is about like what is the tech stack that's going to allow us to have the most lightweight, super fast, super reliable signal routing to share meaningful data and allow that to update components and have the components look and interact and feel as if they are receiving more rich data than they are, you know? And so we host some things like on our side, I guess, this is, I'm inferring from what you've said, but like things like animations, reactions, like that kind of thing. Um, the lifting is maybe done on the device. Um, and that way we free up all of the speed and efficiency for the data exchange between people, which makes things feel super snappy, super fast, super fun and light. And that's the goal. Okay. So, okay. What is the signal bus? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. Yes. That is real time communication now. Mm-hmm. Exists. Yeah. Okay, good. I think we're really getting somewhere. Sled dogs. That's way better than I thought it was going to be. Traditional software team. Mm. Specialists. Architect who decides the structure. Developers who write the code. QA engineer who tests things. Security reviewer who looks for vulnerabilities. A tech writer who maintains documentation. Project manager who tracks what needs doing and in what order. Okay. With using one cloud for everything? Yeah. Mm. Okay. Okay. So I just read your traditional software team, and I don't know if we need it to be traditional. I'm okay with the roles that you've outlined so far, but I think that, at least to me, it seems to be missing like a designer. Uh, I know also that one of your plugins is called Front End Developer or something like that, or Front End Designer. It's one of those. And I'd like to talk about how to use those or how to find out if you can use those or install them and like which ones, what else is there that's available? What should we be considering for this? Um, the module contract is such its files will be created, modified. Create Okay, I'm still getting a little bit confused with our language. So in your example, you say, I want to add a volume fader module. Is that an app or is that a module on the SD one? I think what we need right now is to diagram and define these layers and then uh, add language or terms and definitions to all of these so they stop being confusing. So, which one? Let's start with that and then we'll come back to what you're saying here. Um, Great. Mm, okay, so that's cool. We can just do that now. Here we go. Okay, yeah, I think this makes sense what you're showing me right now, but I think there's more than just like standalone module as a desktop knob. Like, what about if it's an iPad app? What if it's is that the only thing I'm asking? Is that if it's an iPad app? What if it's an uh I guess full screen iOS app and a desktop app on Windows and Mac at the same time? There's Ableton Live where you can run multiple VSTs, and there are VSTs that you just run alone. Um, I guess in some ways, maybe this is like that, but I'm not sure. Like maybe like the breadboard thing is a way of grouping these modules in a way that you might think is cool or effective. And then we just keep releasing these, I guess they're modules, and I think I'd like to come up with like a cool name for this whole thing. Like I'd like to think of some metaphor that's interesting that describes what we're talking about. It's like maybe there's some type of term for building a stack or building a tapestry or collection or like a mosaic of like these tiles or like these interactive blocks. Um, but it doesn't have to be full. Like it doesn't have to suggest that the grid needs to be full either. Sometimes when I think about this, I think about a light bright where you have black paper and then you pierce the black paper with a colored peg and it it gives the illusion as if it's powered, but the light is always there. Um, but it lights up and it comes to life in that regard. And you don't have to fill every peg in the light bright to make a beautiful image. So I see this as like a almost a pegboard where you plug in things into these spaces and it's your custom control interface and it can just do a whole bunch of stuff. It can be a little art piece. It can run data viz. It can run little modules that we find interesting and that people can add to. But I want to start by having my workshop where I output these and I build the interface that I want. And then I want to be able to share the whole thing to people and then maybe eventually sell it because I think that'd be really cool. Like, having money would be really cool. That is what I'm trying to say. Um, wow, it only took 45 seconds. Once again, I cooked for way longer, way longer. Washing machine. That's yeah. I'm just gonna explain my mood. Yeah, like a cool module would be is like okay. See, this is where I gotta come up with ideas. Okay, so ideas. A module that uh, receives the feed from another module or another signal and displays. My bike fell over. Okay. An emoji that is a reaction to the data that it's getting. So it's going to be a performative emoji reaction module. It's going to have to analyze the data coming in and then think about how it would react. Is it happy? Is it sad? Is it dancing? What does it think? And then it plays it. Okay, let's read what it said here. Uh, so a module running standalone isn't just a knob. It could be a full screen synthesizer app. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Um, exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Right. So I don't want to just make touch designer. I want to make okay. Yeah, at the same time, I don't want to just like make touch designer on its own. But I do want this to be hyper lightweight, like we said. Whereas I don't know how lightweight Ableton is. Maybe it's very lightweight. But it has. Am I talking about building fucking Ableton? Like, what am I doing? You know what? Don't worry. Let's just keep going. Let's just see our way through the darkness here. Maybe you can just build Ableton now. Like maybe I'll build Ableton 14 tomorrow. Okay. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's our breadboards. Okay. I mean, maybe it's called toast board. What is a toast board? I mean, uh, I did talk about a light bright. I waxed poetic. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so is it weird to think that maybe I have a knob on my desktop and it has a color, and let's say that knob is a standalone app just running on the desktop, and I want to send hue information to it from an SD1 on my phone. And so I put a knob on my SD1 on my phone and I send hue information to that other knob. Like, does that confuse the layer two breadboards hosting idea? And like, again, I might not be thinking about this very clearly. I might be wrong here. So I know that there's going to be compromises and trade offs, and I can't ask for everything. So I'm just thinking out loud and asking questions. Okay. Yeah. Inputs. Mm-hmm. Inputs, signals we can send. Yeah. Okay. Or now let's see, different context. Yeah, let's see that runs inside Ableton or on its own. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my God, I need to do that as an idea. So, okay, new idea. Um, just spend an hour a day redesigning uh software for vehicles, like redesign Apple CarPlay. Such a piece of shit. Okay, so this is the new systems conversation. Okay. Okay, so I'm starting to get tired. Yeah. Yeah, I might call it soon. 2 hours. Yeah. Not limited to audio. Breadboards. Mm-hmm. Layer 0. Yeah, maybe in this case, I'm just thinking about it again, is like maybe the breadboard is kind of like the sauce that makes them fun and it handles all that functionality that you're discussing. But if somebody wants a module that's just like standalone for whatever reason, that's okay. But this is the thing that uh, adds all that neat interactivity and control and modulation and has that real like synthesizer LFO modular synth kind of vibe, but for making art out of web APIs, visual information, audio information, incoming audio signals, um, and then able to like route and move them around and mess with them in very interesting and fun ways. I'm starting to lose my goddamn mind. I don't think I'm going to be able to talk to this thing for much longer. But that's okay. We're just going to say it all. So, okay. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Yeah. We want to go here, and then we'll get back to it. So, miles now precise in the docs. Small solid breadboard wired to other modules. Yeah. Uh. Oh man, yeah, I need to do that. Holy cow, I can just do that now. That's so awesome. Okay, new idea. Oh, and I gotta start doing this top down too. All my docs are gonna be top down for stream. Okay, so I need to create an app that basically starts taking the things that I want to share, like demos and stuff, and just disseminates them across social media accounts because I don't give a fuck about that, but I know I need to do it because I want to get hired. I need a job. Awesome guy. Please work with me. So yeah, I want to share it on X. I want to share it on LinkedIn. I want to share it on whatever, TikTok probably, and then also YouTube Shorts. So we're gonna have to figure out that project real quick. Okay. Mm, wait. So is that right? Mm, so okay. Let's see. Actually, that's right. No, it doesn't break the layer model, but reveals something had in the wrong place. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Even a single module sits in a case. Not. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Case might only hold one module, but it's still a case. Yeah. 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 That's a one module breadboard. Yeah. It's just okay. So we don't need to say breadboard. Or, well, yeah, we can get rid of this breadboard idea. Multi-module breadboard. Yeah. Okay. So what you said about the breadboard being this, you said so far, and I want to make sure it's captured precisely. Okay. Modules are ingredients. The breadboard is the recipe. Yes. A knob by itself is a knob. Breadboard does not modulates the hue. Well, the LFO sweeps it past this visualizer and the clock's driving the tempo of that. Yeah, exactly. Where you create, exactly. We're going to make, oh my God, it's so cool. We're going to make like a visual. Oh my God, I got to say this into the thing. Oh my God, it's so cool. We're basically going to be able to build like a visual synthesizer, like made out of graphics. Uh, and it's going to be so sick because we'll be able to bring something up and then it'll modulate these other things in like all the channels and stuff that we define. But it's going to be uh, have all these really neat data visualizers that I build, like dot matrix visualizers and volumetric ones, and everything's just going to have like a look. It's going to be so fun and cool. And GIFs and stop motion art. No, no, no. I mean, and like animated GIFs and 3D models and OLED style displays and uh, segmented LCD displays. You want to make stuff really cool. We're going to start with the really fast, flat stuff first. So don't worry about the implementation of something ridiculous like 3D. I'm just talking, but because I'm excited. Mm. And we're just going to leave out the 3D models. We're going to keep it super flat. Uh, okay, so oops. Okay, so uh-huh. Yeah, totally. Okay, so this is just, yep. Oops. more original. I really like Animal Robot. I think it's a fun one. And it also kind of gives me the feeling of like creating something that's like cellular automata, but different because each cell could be a module. And, but in a lot of ways, you could start creating these animal robots. Uh, and I think that there's something really fun about this idea in that lens. Oops. Yeah. Through that lens. Okay. I think that the maybe the host thing doesn't need to have a name, but I am interested in exploring the metaphor a little bit in terms of the design system. It makes a lot of sense with the idea of like cells, molecules, organs, systems, and uh, defining those so that they can perform functions across these things in a uniform way when that's desired, but then also have different expressions of similar things when that's desired. So, for example, one of the cells might be a type of dot that is turned into a dot grid, and the color intensity and value of that, all the dots on the grid are controlled by an incoming audio file, so it becomes a sound equalizer. Maybe it's just making beautiful moving gradients of color. It depends on what it's hooked up to or not hooked up to, or what it's controlling, or what its purpose is. In some ways, this is similar to Touch Designer, but I want it to be a lot more user friendly and uh, a lot more immediate and using the types of like APIs and data sources that we have access to give the sources of data a very organic, interesting feeling, and then also, make it timely and topical. Oh yeah, and the name of this is Animal Robot. Like it's Animal Robot. I love that. I've had that name forever in my life, and uh, we're it's cool that this is one of the first projects I'm making. So let's go. You just designed this design system architecture, and you might not even realize how precise it is. No, I do. I'm a designer. What you're laying out is a hierarchy of building blocks from tiny to complex. Correct. 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 Yes. Yes. System, the host surface, organs wired together, emergent behavior of the whole living creature. Well, yeah, this is my animal robot. The same molecule with different organs depending on what signal feeds. Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, exactly. Could be a weather display, maybe. Yeah, I know that's how Touch Designer works, but um, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yes, that is what I want. Mhm, correct. Yeah, so all of that stuff makes sense. Um, yes, all of that does make sense, and I just want to be clear that I don't think there's going to be any wires in this. Like it is, the wires are invisible, and um, wire may not even be the right metaphor because uh, the modules should have the ability to send their signal to many, and it should be on multiple parameters. So we can send multiple parameters in a signal to many receivers, and the receivers should be able to receive multiple signals at a time from many different senders or broadcasters. So this is wireless from the user perspective. Do we need to define all of the parameters that could be broadcast over a signal or not before we start building? Or are we able to add parameters on the fly uh, to new modules and then have the other modules that were created previously receive them or hear from old modules or something like that? Um, I just want to understand the relationship of the signals and what the modules need to be able to do or know. Uh, okay, I just finished reading step three about the developer, and I think what's missing here is the token optimization component that I described earlier, where uh, when the developer is uh, receiving the approved task spec, he reads only the files listed in the approved spec. But not only that, he doesn't need to read the whole file necessarily all the time. So he might need to read part of the file, and that should be part of the task spec. And any role, like the developer or the QA or QA analyst, would then go and search for the right section of the file and just read that small bit. And then they would also know how to search into the code base to just go to the right part of the code um, and try to use as little uh, tokens or spend as possible in order to do the job and also protect the job from falling apart. Okay, the last part, does it break anything else with QA, is very general and sounds not like a very thorough or strong QA process. I don't want to like overlay it in the system or go absolutely crazy. I still want this to be efficient, but I think maybe we can come up with some use cases where things break and try to like push it a bit beyond this generic one. For security, does it make sense for it to just like monitor traffic and outputs and things like that? Should there be any type of like penetration testing? Should the security agent be thinking about best practices, things like avoiding malware, avoiding prompt injections, avoiding being abused somehow in ways that I don't understand because I'm not a hacker? But I'm curious about how the security analyst decides to run its tasks and how it goes about looking at things. Does it analyze the whole system, um, or just like as you said, the endpoints or inputs? Yeah, docs also like the module catalogs and stuff should potentially include pictures of the modules and um, like instruction manuals that are like visual. And I think it'd be really cool to do this in as light way as possible. Like I really like your sort of ASCII diagrams and stuff like that. So if we can just keep the data dead simple, but like get those ideas across, I think that would be really sick. Cool. I love the process engineer idea. And now I want to just talk about the idea of like potentially the designer thinking about like the design system, um, like how to make it feel really good, how to make it look really good. Uh, I've given a lot of input on what I think SD1 could look like, but I think we could also um, improve on it. And I'd like to be able to have a way of creating design input. And so if I have ideas, I want to be able to uh, feed into a document or something somewhere, maybe with you, and you update the design document or something like that. Okay. Well, that's it for tonight. Thanks, world. Thanks, y'all.